The Lord God wants to bless us. The Lord God wants to bless you, to lavish gifts upon you. Yesterday was my birthday, October 26th, 1986. I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Paul. I came into this world 10 pounds and 2 ounces, son of Mike and Ann. But I must say, I most often do whatever I can to avoid making my birthday known, especially to crowds. My experience, attention on myself, I think really makes me uncomfortable in different ways. And then often this question comes up: what do you want for your birthday? What do you want? What do you want us to give you? I'm always sort of flustered, thinking, I don't know. I sort of think, wouldn't it be easier for me just to get what I want, when I want it, how I want it, for myself? Sort of this independency. And I would say, for me, there can be a struggle and hesitancy to ask for and to receive gifts from others for myself. But then there's today's readings. And think of our relationship with God. We have the example of Bartimaeus, who's sitting here at the roadside begging. He knows the humble act of begging. And then there's the first reading from the prophet Jeremiah, the Lord God who is promising to lavish gifts upon his people, not because they're deserving, but because he is good and he has to offer such good things. The Lord God actually wants to bless us. He wants to lavish his gifts upon us. For us to ask, one, do we believe that? And from there, how willing are we to receive that love and gifts from God without condition? First reading, we hear, I am a father to Israel. I'm a father to you. And fathers love blessing their children. He says, I will gather you from the ends of the world. I will console you. I will guide you. For us to be more like Bartimaeus, I would say that's a challenge for me. He is blind and he knows it. For me to acknowledge, for all of us to realize, as fallen creatures, in so many ways we suffer from being blind. We can't heal that ourselves. Our hearts and our souls, through all of life, have blind spots. We don't always see 20/20. And even if we do during the daylight, blessed periods or these things, there's always nighttime. We've heard of these periods of darkness that followers of God, even the most holy, go through. Are we willing to humble ourselves and live by the roadside as humble beggars before God? Every one of us a beggar before God. And so here's Bartimaeus learning that Jesus is coming near. And so he begins to cry out from the depth of his soul, Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. And the crowd is sort of embarrassed by the commotion of the scene being made. I think some of us can even be embarrassed at ourselves. Should I really be in this poor state, crying out before God? Shouldn't I be stronger or more self-sufficient? They're saying, just be quiet. Stop making such a scene before Jesus. And yet Bartimaeus, at this, he cries out all the more, Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me. In other words, it's a prayer like, Jesus, love me. Jesus, take care of me. Do we ever find ourselves like that? Ready to desperately cry out to God in our blindness or poverty? Bartimaeus, with loud cries, this is key as well. He asks first not for his sight. That's not the first thing he's crying out for, but for compassion. I want to pray more like that. More often, these loud cries from the depths of my soul, wherever or however that takes place, to be able to call up, Jesus, Son of David, love my poor soul. Jesus, Son of David, take care of my poor soul. This is like heartfelt prayer from the depths. And all of us, I think, would benefit to become more like that, like Bartimaeus. All the more louder from the depths of our soul, crying out to God for love, compassion. It's in that moment that Jesus comes closer and prompts Bartimaeus, saying, what is it you really want me to do for you? What gift do you want? I would say, like Bartimaeus, all of us are in need to see clearer, to give that same response as Bartimaeus did, perhaps in these days ahead, in sort of the commotion, the confusion of the world, for us to cry out, Jesus, I want to see.